Let's get to the rest of AEW's content from the past week, because I know you watched Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, speaking of an abused path, I was beaten into submission on Friday night and Saturday night by AEW. This was Saturday night at 8 o'clock on national cable television, and I know that Saturday is not the night that it once was for television in the era of the great one, Jackie Gleason. However, this was they've just given up. They've just given up. The one that everybody's talking about was the first one, and they didn't need to front load this program because it's 8 o'clock at night. They've got a youthful audience. I'm the only one drooping off by 8:45, right? But they put the one that people were going to talk about on first. And by the way, is it Battle of the Belts or is it Bring Your Own Belts? I think we should AEW BYOB, Bring Your Own Belts. Tony stole this from Joe Koff's syndicated specials from Florida in the 80s. Were every match on those specials for a championship of some kind, or was it just a big card and the main matches were for the titles?
From the best that I remember, and of course a couple of those were quite memorable, especially the second one with the Wyndham match, it was a card of big matches with the NWA World Championship as the main event being the belt that they were battling over.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say there weren't other belts decided on the show, but that wasn't the focus.
But this is just, let's figure out who's a champion of some kind and put them on this show because we have to fulfill this programming commitment. This is a 1 hour long, not as exciting version of the show they do on Friday nights. That's a 1 hour long, not as exciting version of the show they do on Wednesday nights. So, having said that, Sammy Guevara, with his main squeeze, as gorgeous Jimmy Garvin would say, Ty Conti against Scorpio Sky, with his main squeeze is the other Page and Dan Lambert for the TV title. Again, random thoughts. Ty has a great bitch face. Ty Conti has facials perfect for a heel woman. You want to just fucking put your foot through the TV screen. I don't know whether she's going to be able to ever work or not, but she got great facials. Scorpio Sky did the windmilling fake punches, even worse than the other ones that I just talked about here a little while ago. I don't know why. Again, I could throw one that looks real, or I can throw 20 that come nowhere near the target and look like they got no steam behind them, and the guy's covering up, and that makes it good somehow. Dueling chants, let's go Sammy, and Sammy sucks. So the party's over. And also the biggest heel in AEW, because he's the one that actually tells them the shit they don't want to hear, old Dan Lambert, he's on the other side of this, and the people are booing Sammy and Ty. So the whole match, I didn't think had any oomph. They did some kind of fucked up move on the apron that almost killed them both for a break spot. And after they did it, they went to break in 5 seconds. It's like the announcer, like, oh my God, that could have killed both men. We'll be right back. Did you see when they came back from the break, Sammy got up on the top turnbuckle and did a backflip off the top rope to the floor on both heels, but went in between them and landed on his face. And they fell down, and he popped up and sold nothing after he just did a backflip and landed on the ground on his fucking face. This guy he's another one. He's a complete moron. He's got talent that he doesn't know what to do with. That's worse than not having it at all. Remember when we first saw, hey, he's got talent. Hey, he's got the face. Hey, he's got a promo. Hey, he's a good heel. Now he's gone out of his mind, and he's a complete moron. And he's wasting all his talent doing stupid, preposterous shit that's going to put him in a wheelchair. And he tried a springboard double jump cutter and slipped and fell right at Sky's feet, and Sky went down anyway. And then Paige Van Zant and Ty Conti got in a sloppy hockey fight, and Sammy, the babyface, gave the heel, Sky, a nut shot, and then hit his finish on him 1, 2, 3. So the babyface fucked the heel with a nut shot and celebrates with his heat-getting, bitch-faced girl manager by tangling tongues with her on camera, looking like two anteaters going at it. Your thoughts?
The kissing was pretty over the top. I don't think I've ever seen it so graphic on wrestling, where it's just right in there and you're seeing everything for a while.
And I'll tell you what, Ty's number 2 molar on the right side has a bad cavity that needs to be treated.
This definitely raises the question, what was the point of Scorpio Sky winning the belt a few weeks back? Sammy's now a heel. You say, he's the baby face. No, he's a heel now.
He is now.
Because him and Ty Conti are running out there. They're always like they're on spring break. Like they're kids on spring break. They're dressed like it. They're doing crazy shit. But they're not cheerable. The only thing you would cheer is if he's doing a cannonball in the air while spinning around. You'll cheer that. The TNT title has never meant less. The Scorpio Sky title reign didn't do anything to help it. It's really lost a lot of steam since Miro, quite frankly. We'll see what happens. You say Dan Lambert's the biggest heel there. Dan Lambert's the male Vicky Guerrero. I don't think the fans care one way or another about him being out there. I did see a promo after the match with Ethan Page, and a lot of people pointed it out. He's the one guy there that if they did want to do something, he could probably pull it off with it. Scorpio Sky, and it's Lambert running his mouth, and I think people are kind of tired of it all.
I am.
And it means your secondary title means not that much right now. You got to do something else with it.
Well, without secondary title, which one? Because now there's more titles, and we got the Ring of Honor title now, and Jonathan Gresham.
That's true.
And I haven't seen a lot of Jonathan Gresham. I want and have wanted to like him because I saw some clips of him and Jay Lethal when they were a team and they were doing some good stuff. I don't have a problem with Gresham's athleticism. He is vertically challenged, but he's wide, he's strong. But there's no oomph, there's no personality, he's a little straight ahead. He reminds me of kind of like Dean Malenko. And that's good in some ways and not so good in other ways if you're a world heavyweight champion of something. But he was challenged here by Dalton Castle, who's a former ROH champion. I was not watching the promotion at that point in time. I've heard about Dalton Castle. I've heard about a flamboyant entrance. I heard about the boys. I'd never seen it. Now I've seen it. I got to be honest with you. I've said I don't need any more comedy on this program. I see what this guy's got, some color and some personality and etc. And in a straight promotion, which Ring of Honor used to be, the flamboyant thing, the peacock feathers, the robe, the whole thing, that would stand out. I can see that being an attraction amongst a group of more serious-minded, level-headed athletic competitors. This is another peacock in the fucking zoo. It's just silliness upon silliness, because they've already got so many gimmicks. The guy, he's got some interest. He's obviously strong, and he's got leverage. He had some interesting throws. I like the suplexes. But I kind of zoned out on this. I saw a spot where they went in the corner and ducked each other's chop, punch, or clothesline 15 times in a row. And even though they weren't even running and hitting the ropes, they were just turning and spinning in position, they were still doing up and overs where they would have never hit the guy anyway. So, and then the match was over. And then here comes Satnam Singh. And he beat up the boys. And he beat up Dalton Castle, and he beat up Jonathan Gresham, and he beat up Lee Moriarty. And for whatever reason, Matt Sydal on crutches thought it was a good idea for him to get in the ring. And this guy's just beat up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grown men with 2 legs. He swings his crutch, and the giant doesn't sell it, grabs his crutch, breaks it, and flings them at a high rate of speed, the crutch pieces, into the crowd behind him. I expect him to pan over to see some old fucking lady grandmother with a goddamn crutch sticking out of her chest like an arrow. But then I realized there's no way a grandmother would be in this crowd. And he went to powerbomb, I guess it was Sydal, and here came Samoa Joe with a lead pipe. And Lethal and Sanjay grab the giant, and discretion is the better part of valor. They get the hell out of the ring, and Joe's standing there with the lead pipe, and there's Jay Lethal, one of my favorite athletes in the business, standing there on the floor next to the world's largest Zippy the fucking Pinhead replica.
I think you captured that segment, and we could move on to the next one. I mean, the other thing I guess we could say is that it's Battle of the Belts. Naturally, you want to have different championships on the line, but other than the fans who really follow it, really know what's up, who already follow Ring of Honor, this has never been on TV before. So all of a sudden, this audience is being exposed to a championship, a title, a champion they haven't seen before in the middle of this show. I don't know if that's the way I would have introduced Jonathan Gresham or the Ring of Honor champion onto the program.
No, because he's bought it, but instead of going with a plan to make it somehow bigger or better, to put his own stamp on it and continue the lineage, etc. But again, like you said, is Jonathan Gresham the guy that you want holding a world championship when people on a national cable basis first see that world championship? And the answer may be probably not. So it seems like once he bought the thing, they did the pay-per-view, they had the best match of the entire WrestleMania weekend from any company, Briscoes and FTR. They got some buzz. Don't rush it. Figure out what you're going to do. Put your people in the right place. This would be a place to do some of this shit on YouTube. And then when you, I mean, again, my God, if one of the promising young athletes in AEW was to win the Ring of Honor championship, well, that might give them a little boost. I don't think in this environment you're going to get Jonathan Gresham over in the main mix right now, especially by bringing him in and calling him a world champion. Unlike you. But it was better than what followed, which was Nyla Rose versus Thunder Rosa for a girls' championship of some description. It's the women's title because Jane Cargill is the TBS champion or whatever the fuck. And that was your main event on Battle of the Belts. Nyla Rose, again, 2 years ago, might have had something. After she's bounced around like a super ball and been beaten by every single woman on the roster, nah. So that was that.
Well, that was AEW's Battle of the Belts, a great way to eat up a Saturday night on TBS, or was it TBS? TNT, I guess, right?
No, well, yes, TNT, because they were on TNT. That was the consolation prize for having to move them when they got hockey or whatever. Can you come up with a concept, Tony? 4 times a year is all you needed. Could it be the old, I think sometimes they call them a gauntlet match. Remember, I got sued by the Tough Man promoter for calling it a King of the Mountain match in Smoky Mountain. We did them in OVW. I've seen them years before. You pick your 6 guys, not your top 6 guys, just 6 guys that you want to have in a match. The first 2 have a singles match. The winner of that immediately faces number 3. Immediately, the winner of that faces number 4, number 5, number 6. And the winner of the whole thing gets some kind of believable cash prize or yacht or fucking private airplane or what, Tony's a billionaire. He can afford, it's not like Vern promising $100,000 battle royal people in Chicago. There's 10,000 people here. The tickets were $8 a piece and they're giving away $100,000. Bullshit. Tony's got the money and it's television. Do one of those matches for an hour. That way you can, you don't release the matchups ahead of time. You just say the 6 guys, and the matchups are determined right before they go in the ring by the fucking draw of the numbers or whatever. And you can have babyface versus babyface or heel versus heel. In times when you never had that, this made it stand out. And you can push a babyface by having them win the first match and win the second match, maybe even win the third match, but goddamn, the fourth guy, they're too worn down and the heel takes advantage of it. Or you can push a heel by having him, if he's a monster, beat the first couple of guys fairly convincingly, and then another big man comes in. Ooh, what's going to happen? Babyface friends have reason to let their tempers flare and get a little rough with each other because there's money or prize on the line, but then they can still shake hands when the thing's over with. But by the same time, a heel that loses can fucking get his heat back by laying the guy out, and then here comes the guy's opponent to pick the bones, and you've established a rivalry between those two guys. You can do all kinds of shit. It's 45 minutes of television. And then if you have that every 3 months, then you've got 3 winners. Then on the big 4th Battle of the Belts special, which might become Battle of the Yacht or Battle for the Boat, then you have the 3 winners in a 3-man round robin. The first guy that wins 2 falls is the winner. And it doesn't involve your championships that are on your pay-per-views and your regular television. And it doesn't even have to involve your current rivalries, but you can juice those rivalries up with the people involved in those matches. Or any other kind of concept, 4 times a year, to make this mean something, and whoever comes out of the show as the 1 star of the show actually might get over in some description. Just off top of my head.
Well, again, that was Battle of the Belts, and of course, a lot of the AEW wrestlers will be flying home. Some will be driving to the next locale, the next Dynamite, a Wednesday night in some city in the United States. But you got to make sure before you hit the road that your car has everything running in accordance with the law, of course, the law, and in accordance with getting you to where you're going. And once the babbling stops, Jim, we tell everyone about RockAuto.com.
That's what we could do to try to get the taste out of their mouth after that. And also, you know, I've told you about my brakes, Brian. They broke.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But you can get brakes at RockAuto.com. And then if you need to break them off later and shove them up your ass, well, you can do that too. But whether your brake stick or your stick brakes, your stick shift or your shift sticks, whatever the case, RockAuto.com has car parts for not only car parts, truck parts. They've got parts for unicycles. They've got parts for horseless carriages. They've got car parts. They've got parts for everything. The tanks, amphibious machines, things that they experiment with at NASA and in the military and the Pentagon. If they got parts for all that stuff, you know they can fix your Chevy. And with the ever-increasing number of makes and models now, it's impossible for these traditional chain storefronts to stock all the parts that your car will ever need, but not impossible for RockAuto.com. That's why that's their slogan. All the parts your car will ever need, because they got them. Because they're located way off the coast of California on their own Pacific island. On this island, they have at least 4, sometimes 6, of every car part that's ever been made. It's a giant complex, and anytime that your order goes through at rockauto.com, they merely pick that part, put it in a pelican's beak, and fly it to the mainland where it's shipped out. So when you go to rockauto.com, the catalog is unique and easy to navigate, and you can quickly see all the parts, choose the brands, specifications, even choose the prices you prefer. That only goes so far. I said many times I prefer free, and they scoffed at me. But the prices are always reliably low and the same for professionals or do-it-yourselfers. So if you're an amateur shade tree mechanic, some numbnuts that doesn't know whether to wind your ass or scratch your watch, you're going to pay the same thing as a guy that knows how to do it right. Why spend up to twice as much for the same parts? Save that money and get an education. Learn how to do this shit first before you go taking that ratchet wrench underneath your hood. But RockAuto.com will fix you up with the parts. What you do with them, well, that's on you. And folks, right now, if you go to rockauto.com and write JCE in the How Did You Hear About Us box, well, that'll be swell. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need, rockauto.com.